Your victory is confirmed. 3 divine signs to overcome all doubt and manifest your sacred purpose. In the quaint English village of Everwood, where the air was thick with anticipation and the cobblestone streets echoed with whispers of hope, Sarah felt the stirrings of divine confirmation. The annual feast of Saint Michael approached. Here, under the watchful gaze of the saint who had guided generations, miracles were expected. Laughter mixed with the aroma of baked goods filled the air, stories of healing reverberated, and faith flowed like a warm current through the community. Yet, amid this vibrant tapestry, Sarah wrestled with a profound emptiness, questioning her purpose and her place in this divine plan as the sun dipped below the horizon. Casting a golden light upon the chapel spire, Sarah slipped into the familiar embrace of her cozy cottage. However, the scent of freshly stitched fabric didn't ease her heart. Among the intricate patterns and soft threads, doubt tangled itself around her spirit. God, why do I feel so lost? She whispered, despair clinging to every word like a dense fog. Just as night enveloped the village, a supernatural sensation kissed the air. A flickering light caught Sarah's eye. She turned towards the chapel, where the stained glass seemed to shimmer with a life of its own. The divine glow poured forth a heavenly warmth, igniting something deep within her. She felt an urge, an inexplicable calling pulling her toward the chapel, igniting a kindling of hope that pulsed through her veins. That very night, around the kitchen table dimly lit by flickering candlelight, Sarah gathered her family. The weight of sorrow settled over them like a cloak as they clasped hands, their fingers trembling with a mix of fear and faith. Lord, please save Jacob, she implored, her voice a whisper swallowed by the shadows. But even as despair threatened to engulf her, a flicker of hope sparked. She sensed that a profound shift was on the horizon. The fervent prayer meeting. Whispers of divine intervention flowed like a river. The pastor's voice echoed against the chapel walls. In our darkest moments, he answers. Each word stirred the congregation. A bright light manifested above the altars, illuminating every face and igniting hearts with fervent belief. As Sarah knelt, her doubt began to melt away in the warmth of collective faith. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days flowed like water, each hour filled with anticipation and dread, until one fateful evening a stranger appeared. Her presence radiated a unique luminosity. Hope is a miracle waiting to be released, she declared, sharing how her son's life was transformed through sheer belief. Sarah's heart raced where there was despair. Now hope thrived. The following Sunday, she visited the chapel and discovered a weathered relic believed to have belonged to Saint Michael. It pulsed with an energy that echoed through the ages, drawing Sarah into a deeper awareness of her family's history. Our past entwines with our future, an elder named Mrs. Whitaker explained, her eyes glistening with tears. It's time for redemption, dear. As the village united in prayer for Jacob, Sarah felt the weight of history swirling around her. With a bold heart, she led a public prayer that poured forth from the deepest parts of her soul, each word ringing out like a battle cry against fate. Yet, amid this chorus of fervent whispers, the air grew thick with tension, and all that could be felt was the breath of divinity as they awaited an answer from heaven. Would Jacob awaken to God's miraculous assurance, or would Sarah's faith be tested again in the shadow of unanswered prayers? In the stillness that enveloped the chapel, a sacred hush fell over the congregation. Hearts pounded as moments stretched endlessly into silence. Sarah felt her body tremble, a confluence of hope and fear coursing through her veins. The flickering candlelight danced as if in anticipation of something profound. Please, Lord, grant us a sign. Her voice broke through the stillness, a fragile whisper laced with unyielding faith. The room held its breath. Then, as if the heavens themselves responded, A resounding sound echoed from the altar, a gentle thump, followed by a soft rustling. Gasps rippled through the crowd as every eye turned, seeking the source of the divine interruption. A hush cascaded over them again, each person clinging to the moment like a precious treasure. Suddenly, as though awakened from slumber, the heavy wooden doors of the chapel swung wide, revealing a figure shrouded in divine luminescence. Jacob stood there, his eyes filled with a light that had been absent for far too long. "Mum," he called out, a shaky but unmistakable strength in his voice. Tears flowed freely as Sarah instinctively rushed towards her son, a wave of uncontainable joy washing over her. The very air vibrated, thick with the presence of something extraordinary. "Jacob, you're alive," she cried, enveloping him in a warm embrace that seemed to knit their broken hearts together. The congregation erupted into a symphony of praise, voices lifting toward the heavens in a triumphant chorus. Sarah's heart swelled with gratitude, each beat resonating with a new understanding of faith and divine timing. "The Lord has provided," someone yelled, and a murmur of amens surged through the crowd like wildfire. Yet, amid the jubilant celebration, Sarah was struck by the weight of what had transpired. It was as though Saint Michael himself had orchestrated this moment, guiding them through their darkest hour. She looked into Jacob's eyes, and for the first time in what felt like ages, she saw the flicker of hope pulsing brighter than before. But as Jacob spoke of his experience, an unsettling thought tugged at her heart. "Mom, I saw things that changed me," he said hesitantly, uncertainty tangled within his words. "What do you mean, love?" she asked, the joyful atmosphere dimming just slightly. "They weren't just dreams. I was shown something vast, something beyond our understanding. It felt overwhelming, like a river of light and voices. It told me I have a purpose, but I don't know what it is yet." Jacob's voice, though steady, bore the traces of revelation that felt both miraculous and daunting as her son's words sunk in. The air around Sarah pulsed with the weight of divine mystery. For every answer they thought they'd found, a new question unfurled. The reassurance she had craved now carried the seed of further exploration. Was Jacob's experience merely the beginning? The villagers continued to celebrate, unaware of the unfolding layers of destiny. But Sarah's heart was set ablaze with questions, spiraling into the depths of her spirit. She knew the victory was tangible, yet now it invited a deeper understanding of their life's purpose. "God, what do you want from us?" Sarah whispered into the divine silence, seeking illumination in the growing crescendo of faith surrounding her as the chapel echoed with joyful song. It seemed the entire universe held its breath, waiting for the next moment of revelation. Was this a journey of discovery that entwined their very souls with the essence of eternity? With renewed resolve, Sarah squeezed Jacob's hand tightly. What divine secrets were waiting just beyond the horizon? As the crowd rejoiced, the question lingered heavily in her heart. Would they be ready to accept the call when the time came? The celebration continued to swell, filling the chapel with joy and jubilant voices. Yet, within the vibrant chorus, Sarah felt a stirring in her soul. It was a soft whisper of truth brushing against her heart, like an autumn breeze ruffling the leaves. "Jacob," she said, pulling away slightly to look into his eyes, "tell me more about what you saw." Her voice was steady, yet curiosity danced in her tone. Jacob hesitated, gathering his thoughts like fragile butterflies. "It was a place of light, Mum, so warm and inviting. There were people, two faces I didn't know, but they welcomed me as if I belonged." His brow furrowed slightly, the weight of his memories pressing against his words. "Maybe it was a glimpse of heaven," Sarah suggested, a flicker of awe shining in her eyes, "or the promise of what is to come." He nodded, but uncertainty shadowed his expression. "I felt a calling there, a sense of mission that transcended my own life. I've returned, but now I'm supposed to seek that purpose, whatever it may be." His breath hitched, and for a moment, the exuberance of the crowd faded into the background. Around them, the singing continued, notes of praise soaring high, filling the sacred space. Sarah's heart beat wildly in sync with the rhythm of faith enveloping them both. She glanced over to the villagers, still immersed in gratitude. The sight warmed her. There was unity in the air, a shared moment that echoed ancient promises. Together, we will discover what you're meant to do, she assured him, clasping his hand tightly. God has a plan for us all. Nearby, someone raised a voice in fervent worship. Trust in the Lord, they cried, and an echo of amens followed, like a wave crashing upon the shore. But beneath that wave, another current of uncertainty pulled at Sarah. What if this journey was fraught with trials? What if the path ahead darkened before it brightened? Mom, Jacob interrupted her thoughts. Can we pray? I think asking for wisdom is what we need right now. An invitation from her son felt like a balm to her spirit. Yes, let us pray, she exclaimed, her heart soaring with resolve. They knelt together at the altar, the shimmering candlelight flickering around them as if affirming their quiet plea. Lord, guide us, she began, their voices entwined. Grant us clarity as we step into the unknown. Give us strength to seek out the purpose you have laid before us. A stillness fell over the chapel again, deeper than before. The hushed song of worshippers softened into reverent quiet, and in that sacred space, something profound began to stir. Jacob suddenly spoke up, a gentle tremor in his voice. And if we are to face trials, remind us of your endless love. Help us embrace our journey, no matter how challenging it may be. The air shimmered around them. Sarah could almost feel a presence, an unseen assurance surrounding them, while hearts across the chapel united in solemn prayer, inviting the divine into their midst. As the last echoes of their plea faded, a sense of anticipation bubbled up within Sarah. What revelation awaited them? What divine signs would guide their steps? Just then, a breeze swept through the open doors, carrying with it whispers of stories untold. It felt alive with promise and potential. Could this be the start of their true call? As the festivities resumed, Sarah's spirit stirred with eagerness. Was this a moment where faith and purpose would intertwine? She looked up at Jacob, the weight of possibility hanging in the air. Will we recognize the signs? Jacob? She asked softly, the question lingering between them like an unspoken secret. For every heart in the chapel, the future waited in eager silence. What revelations were waiting just beyond the veil? The moments stretched between them, thick with unspoken wonder. The laughter and song of celebration floated softly around Sarah and Jacob, yet it felt distant as they lingered in their own private world of anticipation. Remember how you always said God reveals himself in the little things? Jacob asked, his eyes brightening with hope. What if this is one of those times? Yes, Sarah replied, feeling a warmth in her heart. Sometimes, it's in the quietest of moments that we find clarity. Her thoughts trailed off as she watched the flickering candle flames sway gently, a dance of light that seemed to whisper reminders of faith. Just then, a woman approached them, her eyes glistening like the stars above. Sarah, she began, her voice comforting yet urgent. I felt led to share something with you. You must keep your eyes open. God is moving in ways you cannot yet see. Thank you, Sarah replied, a surge of gratitude washing over her. Here it was a nudge from the divine, urging them to stay alert amidst their inquiries. Jacob nodded, absorbing the words with the reverence they deserved. What do you think it could mean? He wondered aloud. I think we're being called to seek and to trust, Sarah mused, but also to act. Maybe we will be given signs, but we must be willing to step forward. The weight of her words lingered like a sweet perfume, filling the spaces of doubt with anticipation. A sudden hush fell over the congregation, and a figure stepped forward, glowing with an inner light. It was Elder Thomas, a man known for his wisdom and deep understanding of faith. The chapel fell completely silent, a collective breath held in reverence. I have a word for us, he declared, his voice steady like a firm grasp upon the truth. God has been preparing us for a time such as this. We are called to greater things, but we must first trust in his goodness. Every heart leaned in, eager for the words of divine revelation. He will provide the signs you seek. 3 promises have been laid before us, like stepping stones across these waters. Elder Thomas raised his hand, and in that moment, the air thickened with expectancy. The first sign is a heart of gratitude, he declared. When you encounter blessings, the small ones as well as the grand, give thanks. A grateful heart opens channels for God's plans to unfold. Jacob whispered to Sarah, "It's like the waves of praise. Thankfulness lifts our spirits." The second sign will come through community, Elder Thomas continued. Surround yourselves with believers who uplift and encourage you. They will become your anchors in times of doubt. Sarah felt a flush of warmth, knowing how fiercely their village stood together. They were a family of faith, woven in a tapestry of support and love. And the final sign, he said, his gaze drawing the room to a close, will be the peace that surpasses understanding. It will settle upon you when you are in alignment with God's will, guiding you forward even in the darkest moments. As he concluded, a gentle breeze rustled through the chapel, sending embers of hope creeping into every heart. Sarah felt it surge within her, a joyful confidence blossoming like brightly colored flowers springing up along a hidden path. Jacob turned to her, wide-eyed. "Did you feel that?" "I did," Sarah breathed, overwhelmed by how the signs were woven seamlessly into their lives, becoming an exciting adventure ahead. But as they basked in this revelation, a stirring caught Sarah's attention. Her gaze shifted toward the open doors where the wind whistled a haunting tune. What if the journey includes things we're not prepared for? She pondered aloud, a shadow flickering through her heart. Jacob placed a reassuring hand on hers, the connection between them a lifeline against the uncertainty surrounding their path. "Then we embrace it all, just as the elder said. He will still be with us." Their spirits soared, filling the chapel with light, echoing back to the promise of his presence. What awaited them beyond this moment of joy? What challenges would test their resolve as they stepped into the light? In the excitement, another question stirred within Sarah. If the signs were indeed unfolding, could they gather the courage to follow where they led? What divine mysteries waited at the end of this road? The warm glow of candlelight danced wildly, illuminating the faces of those gathered in the chapel, each one holding tightly to the thread of hope that connected them all. Sarah's heart fluttered as she exchanged glances with Jacob, the questions hanging between them like the unspoken promises of the evening. Then, as if answering their silent musings, a sudden draft swept through the room, whispering through the open doors. The voice of Elder Thomas broke the stillness again, a soft yet commanding presence rising in the air. "We are not alone on this journey," he proclaimed, his eyes flashing with fire. "God walks with us, and he will reveal his will in his perfect timing." Each word wrapped around the community like a thick blanket of reassurance, igniting an unmistakable spirit among them. Sarah could feel the pulse of connection in the room. Hearts resonated as one, lifted in prayer and expectation. But the flickering present felt intertwined with something deeper. Sarah took a moment to reflect. "Jacob," she asked quietly, "do you think the signs might already be here? Maybe the unexpected is a part of this journey?" Jacob smiled, squeezing her hand more tightly. "Every day is full of signs. We just need to be open to see them." Their conversation faded under the weight of the elder's next words, which hung like fragrant incense in the atmosphere. "Keep faith and patience, for the journey ahead may lead us through storms, yet we are destined for a purpose far greater." The phrase sparked a memory in Sarah's heart, the lessons from her childhood wrapped in her mother's whispers about faith. Just like standing firm against the waves, she thought, feeling a pull to the unknown challenges that lay ahead. As Elder Thomas continued, he spoke softly of trials and tribulations as stepping stones, of faith that gives rise to the boldest of dreams. "You will find comfort and strength in seeking him," he said, and in that moment Sarah felt an inexplicable peace settle within her, like the calm after a storm. Jacob leaned closer, his voice filled with conviction. "We need to share our journey with our community, with everyone here. When we act in unity, it multiplies our strengths." Sarah nodded, a spark igniting in her chest. "Yes. Together we can carry the weight, we can face whatever is to come." The realization washed over her. The journey was not only theirs but belonged to all who were gathered. Suddenly, a hush fell again as the chapel doors swung wider. A figure stepped into the gathering, cloaked in mystery. It was a stranger, young yet radiating warmth, as if lit from within. Sarah and Jacob instinctively stood taller, as if drawn by an unexplainable force. The stranger gazed at the congregation, and then spoke. "I too have been sent to be a messenger," he proclaimed. "The journey you anticipate will lead you to encounters that will forever change your lives. Be prepared for the unexpected, and trust the path ahead." A murmur spread through the crowd, a mix of trepidation and delight. The stranger's presence seemed a channel of revelation. Breathing life into the elder's lesson, there was more to uncover. Sarah turned to Jacob, her mind bubbling with excitement. "What do you think this means? Could the stranger be one of the signs?" Jacob's eyes sparkled with curiosity, his belief unwavering. "Perhaps he is guiding us to our next stepping stone, a key to unlocking the mysteries unfolding around us." As they stood there, fully immersed in the energy of faith and anticipation, an echo of Elder Thomas's words resonated. "Will you embrace his call?" Sarah took a deep, steady breath. They were at the precipice of something profound. She wondered what challenges were to come, how few steps could lead to grand revelations ahead. As she locked eyes with Jacob, a powerful thought gripped her soul. What if the signs they sought were all wrapped in the risk of the unknown, waiting to be unveiled in the courage they dreamed of embodying? What divine mysteries awaited them beyond this moment, beyond the call to action? Would they have the strength to step into the unfamiliar and embrace the adventure unfolding before them? The air in the chapel vibrated with a palpable energy, as if the very bricks were holding their breath in anticipation. The stranger's words hung above them, each syllable a drop of divine rain nourishing the seeds of hope planted in every heart. Sarah felt the stirring of courage within her. It was as if the message was an ember, waiting for her to fan it into a roaring flame. Jacob leaned closer, curiosity painted across his features. "Do you feel it? This moment is turning." He glanced back at the crowd, their faces a tapestry of awe and wonder. People shifted closer together, sharing whispers, their eyes sparkling with possibility. It was as if families of faith were being woven tighter by invisible threads of purpose. The stranger smiled knowingly, and with gentle authority, he spoke again. "Each one of you carries a light, a calling within that begs to be unleashed. You stand on the brink of transformation. Will you step forward? Will you dare to discover what awaits?" The weight of his question rang out, reverberating through their souls. Sarah's heart raced. "What awaits?" echoed in her mind, merging with Jacob's hopeful gaze. Elder Thomas stepped forward, his voice rising like a curative balm. "We need to take this seriously. The unexpected is simply the prelude to the miraculous. Each of us has a role in this unfolding story. Have faith in what has not yet been revealed." His passionate delivery wrapped around Sarah, coaxing her from contemplation. What if our greatest fears turn into stepping stones? She pondered. Just then, the chapel windows rattled, as strong winds tussled with the night outside, a reminder of the storms that would surely come. Yet, in that chaotic moment there was harmony. "Look at the beauty," Jacob whispered, nudging her shoulder gently. He pointed to the candles. Each flickering flame was a testament to the souls gathered there, illuminating the shadows around them. Every struggle transforms into light. In response to his words, a chorus of voices began to rise, a gentle hum resonating as more individuals joined in prayer. The walls echoed with their collective hopes, weaving a fabric rich with expectation. The stranger stood amidst them, arms stretched wide, welcoming their fervent unity. Sarah closed her eyes, surrendering to the rhythms of the moment. "Show us the way, Lord," she murmured, feeling the power of their shared purpose wrapping around her, binding her spirit with those she had only known in fleeting moments. It was the revelation she sought. When she opened her eyes again, the stranger's expression had changed subtly. "In your unity," he said softly, "you will uncover deep insights." His gaze fell on each member of the congregation, as if he could see into their souls. "3 divine signs await you that will guide your feet upon this path." Excitement rippled through the crowd, and murmurs of wonder filled the air. What could they be? Sarah wondered in breathless anticipation, her heart thrumming like an eager drum. The stranger continued, "Be attentive to your hearts, for they are your compass. Open your eyes, for there are treasures hidden in plain sight. And lastly, lean on one another, for strength lies in community." Each of these signs throbbed with promise, echoing the lessons woven into their shared faith. Each seemed a path leading from uncertainty to breakthrough. Was this the revelation they had been yearning for, the key to unlocking their sacred purpose? Yet the mystery was thickening, the air electric with questions yet unresolved. How would they recognize these signs? Would the winds of change blow gently, or would they be tempestuous? As Sarah glanced around, she saw a mixture of hope and uncertainty in the faces of her friends and neighbors. One thought struck her hard. The true test would be walking in faith even when clarity seemed distant. What awaited them on this journey of divine discovery? Would they, armed with the promise of those signs, step boldly into the unknown that beckoned? The echo of expectation resounded, preparing their hearts for the next leap of faith. The moment hung thick in the air, as if the entire congregation had collectively inhaled, holding on to the anticipation of what would come next. A silence descended, sacred and reverent, like the hush before a storm. Sarah looked around, her eyes flickering across the faces illuminated by candlelight. Each one reflected a unique story of struggle, hope, and an unyielding desire for transformation. The stranger's voice broke through the stillness once more. "You are being called to awaken the divine potential slumbering within each of you. That call is not to be taken lightly. A journey awaits, my friends, a journey that starts tonight." Jacob's fingers tightened around Sarah's hand, grounding her amidst the whirlwind of emotion. She felt the heat of his excitement seeping into her skin. "We can do this, right? We just need to trust," he whispered, an earnest plea dancing in his eyes. Trust. The word echoed within her, drawing forth memories of moments when faith had lifted her through darkness. But the path ahead felt uncertain and fraught with the unknown. What if she stumbled? What if the signs were too faint to grasp? "Embrace your doubts," the stranger encouraged, sensing her internal struggle. Doubt can be the catalyst for deeper faith. It is your willingness to face it that will lead you to your calling. The first sign is already stirring in your hearts. A ripple of recognition swept through the crowd, eyes widening in anticipation. Each person present felt the weight of those words resonate with something deep within. "Listen closely," the stranger continued. "Each heartbeat is a reminder of your potential. Let it lead you. Listen not only to the fears and doubts but to the whispers of hope and courage. They will serve as your compass." Sarah's heart quickened, each beat representing a flicker of the flame growing within. She closed her eyes for a moment, inviting the pulse of the divine heartbeat into her being. Yes, she could sense it, an urging that promised growth, even amidst uncertainty. As if to punctuate his words, a gust of wind rattled the windows again, a playful yet powerful reminder of nature's might. The candles danced wildly, flickering like souls wavering yet determined. The stranger smiled, unperturbed. "This is the world responding." The second sign reveals itself in your surroundings. Open your eyes to the treasures hidden among you. Each moment is rich with meaning. Jacob leaned in closer, breathless. What treasures? How will we recognize them? "Sometimes treasures are not what we seek," the stranger replied, almost as if he was speaking only to her and Jacob. "Sometimes they are lessons dressed in struggles, moments of clarity manifesting in the chaos of life. Look for them. They are there if only you choose to see." Sarah's mind raced, grabbing onto that perspective, hoping to find a guide among the layers of her worries. Would she be brave enough to uncover hidden gifts in her life? And lastly, the stranger said, the final sign. "Lean on one another, for in community you will find your strength." Love, support, and faith shared are the anchors which will hold you firm against life's storms. With these final words, he gestured broadly to the congregation, encouraging them to embrace one another. Minutes later, laughter and conversation erupted, weaving their distinct stories, fears, and hopes into a tangible tapestry. Sarah could feel the energy shift, Where doubt had lingered, courage began to bloom. Yet, as this moment of unity flourished, her heart still held a lingering question. Would they truly recognize the signs when they arose? Would they have the strength to walk the path set before them? As they joined hands, the atmosphere crackled with both excitement and a haunting uncertainty. What awaited them beyond this night of revelation? The invitation to step boldly into this new chapter of their lives loomed ahead, heavy with divine promise but shrouded in the unknown. Would they rise to the occasion, or would their fears hold them back? In this moment of hope, doubt also lingered. Would they be brave enough to find their purpose, or was fear ready to strike again? As laughter mingled with the flickering candlelight, Sarah felt her spirit lift, but uncertainty still clung to her like morning mist. The warmth of community surrounded her, yet doubts stirred within, undeterred by the contagious energy in the room. "Let us not fear what comes next," she whispered, almost to herself. Jacob squeezed her hand tighter, as if sensing the very thoughts that plagued her heart. "We face this together, remember? Trust in the process. It's the journey that shapes us. Together." The word resonated in her soul, igniting hope. She glanced around her, meeting the eyes of others, each soul a beacon of light in the darkness of doubt. The warmth of community enveloped her, contrasting with the chill of uncertainty lurking just outside her mind. "People of faith," the stranger suddenly proclaimed, and silence fell again. "Let me share a promise with you. Every struggle holds a lesson, and with each lesson, strength is born. But it requires vulnerability. You must be willing to lay down your defenses." His voice was steady, though a tremor of passion flicked through it, holding the congregation rapt. "For only when you are open and honest with each other will the true treasures emerge. Gifts may come disguised as challenges. It is up to you to unwrap them." At this, Sarah's heart raced. Could her past trials truly be gifts waiting to be revealed? She thought of the last year, a canvas splattered with both joy and sorrow. With a gentle breath, she let the weight of her experiences wash over her, realizing these messy strokes merely shaped the picture of her life. The mood in the room shifted again. People began to share their stories, voices weaving together as they bared their souls, their joys and their losses, insecurities and victories. Each tale sung of trials transformed into treasures, moments of stumbling turned into strides toward faith. With every voice, Sarah grew stronger in her belief that even amid uncertainty, they could begin to uncover their paths. Then the stranger returned to the forefront. "Remember, there is strength in vulnerability. God meets us in our brokenness, and it is in our weakest moments that divine strength has the most profound impact." The hands clasped together in that small chapel felt like a chain link of faith, each story fortifying the strength needed to propel them onward. Sarah's eyes glistened with tears as she watched tears flow freely from others, recognizing their rawness as beautiful offerings as their shared vulnerabilities hung in the air. A new feeling started to bloom in her heart. Could it be hope? Your journey is not one of isolation. You are meant for connection. The stranger continued, encouraging them to lean into the trust built amongst them. Reflect on your experiences. Allow them to guide you. The signs are everywhere. Pay attention and surely you will see them. A gentle wind swept through again, rustling the sleeves of their dresses and jackets. The candles swayed, casting shadows that danced like the spirits of those guiding them. Sarah felt an inexplicable peace settle within her, assuring her that the evening had ignited something beautiful, a spark of divine purpose awaiting her. As hands released and laughter faded, Sarah spoke up, trembling slightly. "What if our fears don't go away? What if we can't see the signs?" A hush fell, heavy with the weight of her question, raw and honest. "Ah," the stranger finally said, a smile painting his face. "That is the very heart of it. I senti it. It's not about removing fear, but about allowing love to carry you through it. When you trust in love, when you find strength in community, fear loses its grip. But you must choose love over fear." Their eyes met, and for the first time, Sarah felt a promise twist in her heart, a commitment to embrace the unknown with courage. As she held on to that thought, a sense of purpose began to bloom anew within her. But just as clarity appeared, darkness fluttered at the edges. What would that love manifest into? The journey ahead beckoned, a rich tapestry yet to be woven. Would they embrace the dance of faith? Would they be bold enough to take the first step? The divine path stretched out before them, inviting yet daunting. As anticipation thickened again, she heard the stranger murmur, "The next step often reveals more than we could ever anticipate." What awaited them as they dared to tread deeper into the mystery of their calling? As the last notes of their gathering faded, a tranquil stillness filled the chapel. The soft glow of candlelight bathed the room in warmth while the scent of the flickering wicks lingered in Sarah's mind. With a heart alight with possibilities, she could sense a shift not just in herself, but in those around her. The air brimmed with unspoken hopes and tender nightmares healed by shared faith. A young woman started speaking, her voice trembling yet filled with a resilience that commanded attention. "I lost my job this year," she confessed, her gaze softening as she locked eyes with Sarah. "But in that darkness, I found a strength I never knew I had. I learned to trust, to pray, and in the trust, God provided." A ripple of soft gasps met her words. The congregation hung on every syllable. In that moment, Sarah understood. Vulnerability creates bridges. Each story echoed stories within her, and she too wanted to share. "During my struggles, I felt alone," Sarah began, her voice firm. "But now, I see that the community we build can lift us beyond our fears." As she spoke, glances exchanged around the room fluttered with understanding, a silent agreement that a bond was growing. "And when we lean into our fears," the stranger interjected, his prior excitement apparent in his tone, "our hearts become stronger. We become vessels of hope." The natural pull of each story cascaded like a gentle stream, swirling together into a river of understanding. Suddenly, the doors of the chapel burst open. A rush of cool air swept through, tousling hair and jackets, but it also brought with it an invigorating sense of clarity. It felt like a beckoning, a whisper from the divine urging them forward. "Let us follow that whisper," said Jacob, his voice vibrant, cutting through the moment. "What if we made a plan, a way to put our lessons into action?" He looked around at the faces, some bright with excitement, others still shrouded in hesitation. The group murmured in response. Some nodded, others grasped their own hands tighter as if weighing the proposition. When the light-hearted initial chaos settled, the stranger smiled knowingly. "Taking a step toward action is a sign of your growth. The path may not always be clear, but with every step, clarity unfolds." As they began to brainstorm ideas, Sarah felt the tension slip from her shoulders. Ideas bloomed like flowers eager for the sun. A project to help those in need took shape, and they all grew intertwined in the act of creating together. Sometimes, the simple act of helping others reveals our truest purpose. The stranger reminded them with a sparkle in his eyes. "Don't underestimate the impact of love in action." The tone in the room shifted again as laughter emerged, a sense of joy replacing the earlier tension. Sarah's heart soared alongside the shared aspirations. Everything felt connected, meaningful, the divine tapestry of life weaving them tighter together as they formed their plans. An unexpected statement broke through the clamor. A man stood up, his voice low but determined. "But what if we fail? What if our plans don't come to fruition?" His words lingered, hanging heavy like the night sky. "Even in failure, we learn," the stranger replied, his eyes vivid with warmth. "It is how we react that matters. Faith does not promise an absence of struggle, but assures us of God's presence through it all." Understanding washed over Sarah like a wave. They were crafting a journey together that would bring them closer to their divine purpose, regardless of what lay ahead. She could feel the love binding each soul together, wrapping them in strength and resilience. As they spoke and shared laughter, a unique harmony emerged, a beautiful symphony of souls searching together. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment and felt the pulse of community echoing around her. The night became a canvas of their collective dreams, each stroke enhancing the image of their shared potential. Yet still, amidst the beauty, uncertainty lingered at the edges of her mind. Could they truly manifest this vision? As they concluded their planning, the stranger interjected, "Remember, Faith is not blind. It's the confidence in what we hope for. The challenge loomed ahead, but the question lingered in the air. Would their courage allow them to dance beyond doubt and seize the promise held in their newfound community? The dawn crested gently over Everwood, its golden light spilling into the village like a divine promise. In the chapel, the morning sun refracted through the stained glass, casting vibrant colors across the worn wooden pews where the community had gathered once more. Hope hung in the air, tangible and electric, as Sarah and Jacob entered with hearts wide open. "Today is a new chapter," Sarah whispered to Jacob, feeling time stretch between breaths. "Yes. Today we embrace our calling," he replied, a spark in his eyes that mirrored the brilliance around them. Everyone was present, each face reflecting the journey they had begun together. Elder Thomas stood at the front, a gentle authority radiating from him. "We have journeyed through trials and triumphs, and today we honor our path," he declared, and the crowd surged with anticipation as Elder Thomas spoke of the importance of gratitude, community, and peace. Sarah felt her heart swell. "Each of these signs has led us here," he continued. "We've learned that every struggle can blossom into strength, and every fear can transform into faith." Just then, the stranger from the previous night stepped forward, his presence an illuminated beacon among them. "Remember, my friends, you are not just a congregation. You are a collective heart. With each challenge you encounter, let it draw you closer together." His voice was both soothing and empowering. Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes as she looked around at the villagers. They were more than mere faces. They were brothers and sisters joined by an indelible spirit. "We are each other's strength," she murmured, the realization washing over her like warm sunlight. The stranger smiled at her, and in that shared moment, their understanding transcended words. They were all vessels filled with purpose, ready to pour into a world in need. The silence that followed was pregnant with potential, embodying the spirit of a community united in purpose. Elder Thomas broke the silence, raising his hands as if calling upon the heavens. "Let us pray together, sending our hearts and hands into the world." The wave of faith surged amongst them, hands clasped tightly, breaths synchronized. "Lord, guide our way. Show us how to shine your light." As the prayer flowed through them, Sarah felt the presence of divine assurance enfold her. It was as if Saint Michael himself stood guard, ensuring that they understood the power present in their unity. "Let us act," Jacob said, igniting a spark of enthusiasm. "We can create tangible change that reflects our faith." With this rallying cry, murmurs of agreement erupted. The villagers collectively brainstormed projects: a food drive, a mentorship program for the youth, community gardens to nourish both body and spirit. Each idea blossomed like a flower toward the sun, each heartbeat punctuating the air with focus and determination. A woman raised her hand, her voice tremulous. "What if we reach out to the lonely? We can invite everyone to join us." "Yes, inclusion is vital," another called out. Sarah's heart surged with warmth, knowing that this was their purpose unfolding. Together, they would build bridges in their community, nurturing relationships and fostering connection. As the plans solidified, laughter and joy echoed in the chapel. They weren't just weaving projects. They were weaving bonds that would sustain through trials. Yet as excitement swelled, Sarah remembered the lingering uncertainties. She leaned into Jacob. "What if we hit obstacles? What if we face setbacks? Every setback can lead us to deeper faith," he assured, squeezing her hand firmly. Just then, a voice rang out from behind them, one of the young teens from the village, filled with passion. "I believe we can do anything if we trust God and keep working together." "Exactly," Josh, a former skeptic, chimed in. "We are not in this alone." Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes again, but this time they were tears of joy. With every shared heart and intention, doubt danced away like shadows in the light. After discussions and plans, Elder Thomas called everyone to stand in a circle, cementing the sense of connection. "As you step out into the world, remember, let gratitude be the song in your hearts, community be your anchor, and peace your guide. With hands clasped together and hearts intertwined, Sarah felt the warm pulse of divine energy flowing through them all. They were ready. They wouldn't shrink back from the unknown. No, they would step forward and dare to embrace everything God had in store for them. As the closing prayer wafted into the ethereal air, murmurs of amen blossomed like fragrant blooms. The sun began to rise higher, showering the chapel in luminosity, reflecting their hopes and dreams as they walked out into the bright, bustling community. Hearts aligned in purpose and spirit, Sarah turned to Jacob, a confident smile breaking across her face. "We did it. Together, we answered the call." "Yes," Jacob exclaimed, eyes sparkling. "And this is just the beginning." With that, Sarah felt a rush of light and liberation. The challenges ahead would come, but armed with faith and community, they would navigate through the storms and into the dawn. And so, the journey began anew, for every heart in Everwood was lit with hope, ready to embrace the divine purpose that awaited. In this moment of conclusion, dear friends, this is your call to action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories. This is the moment to show your support for uncovering Goddess love in remarkable ways. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your engagement makes a difference. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this ending. It's powerful when our voices unite. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this manifestation. Don't wait even one more second to share the light. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.